it's like either you get the first step or you don't. Can something really make you go out and drink? Using Eric Clapton as an example, his son leapt out, horrifically died, and he came and he was like 2 seconds away from the body, and he saw this and he stayed sober.
Yeah.
So if anything is going to go make you drink, it would be something like losing a son. So people have dealt with cancer. People have dealt with, marriages breaking up. Marriages. Isn't it either you get it or you don't?
Well, I've been through the death of my father, divorce, and in all the things that I thought that would maybe create that situation, it was the last thing on my mind because I knew it would only make it worse. In fact, it would be a sacrilege to my father's death to drink over that. It just would be sacrilegious because I was comfortable experiencing life as it happened. I couldn't imagine not experiencing it. A quick story, I got in a motorcycle accident. I laid down my Harley Davidson. I hit a deer at 65 miles an hour and was carted by the EMTs into the ER and I had broken ribs. I was really screwed up. And I kept refusing pain medication even though I was in great pain. And they took me up to be x-rayed and they said, we're going to have to give you something because you won't let us move you. And I said, well, I prefer Demerol. But they gave me IV morphine. And when that morphine hit my vascular system, I had a panic attack. I had a panic attack because I suddenly felt separated from reality. And I hadn't experienced that in so long.
Right.
Now, 20 years earlier, I would go crash a motorcycle to go get some Demerol.
We see that actually a lot with people who've gotten sober, especially people that have used a lot of marijuana, where they'll go and they'll smell marijuana and have a panic attack. And it's becoming more difficult now because marijuana has obviously become medicinal. And as people live in condos and apartment buildings now are often exposed to the smell of marijuana a lot more than they were before.
Well, welcome to my world as being just an alcoholic.
Right.
That's that's how I feel on a constant basis of walking around smelling alcohol. I have that thing that happened to me where I feel like I drank so much that when I smell it, I get nauseous.
Yeah, the smell, especially the smell of people that have been drinking the night before.
Yeah, right.
Well, there's a promise at the end of the ninth, not the ninth step, but the 10th step that says if we've come this far, that alcohol will cease to become an issue. We'll become neutral about it. We'll recoil from it as if it were a hot flame. Right. But you can only get to that stage if you've taken care of all the underlying conditions.
Right.
But that's what I'm getting at. That there are, there's the steps and there's this and there's that, but it's like when you get to this, no, we're not sat down as children and taught how to work out finances, and we're not taught. For me, what Debtors Anonymous did for me was it let me have a vision so I could have value. That was really important because I didn't feel like I was worth anything. So even though I wasn't throwing up anymore and I rarely really drank because that really triggered that, bulimia, whatever, and drugs, same thing. But it's like, for me, I think that, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Yes. But it's like, once I went to Debtors Anonymous and I started to really work the program around my self-esteem, around my expression, then I stopped wanting to sleep with other people. Like, instead of my value was what was inside of me, not who was inside of me. You know what I mean? Because that's how I was for so long. It was like whoever I was sleeping with, that defined my value. And so now it's like I have my own value. But I got that in Debtors Anonymous. OA wasn't going to teach me that. OA was going to teach me how to not throw up. But it's like, now what? What do you do?
Thank you.
Good
save.
What do you do with your time when you're not binging, when you're not drinking? What do you do? Oh, well, now maybe I have a craft or a hobby or something, I don't know, or I want to excel in my career. But it's like, who's going to give you those tools?
Well, the greatest thing that I've found in long-term sobriety, and this has just been in the past 6-7 years, is the ability to just sit with myself and be completely okay with that. To not have to go anywhere, not have to do anything, to just sit with myself and know everything is good. It was Christian Murty, who was this philosophical guru kind of guy, said that spirituality is the ability to perceive reality as it is. And what is the reality right now? It's not what's going to happen tomorrow. It's not what happened yesterday. It's the fact we're sitting around having a conversation, and that's all there is. And there's a beauty in just. I don't want to sound too woo-woo, and I'm not going to burn some incense. I promise. I'll be no
okay if you do.
But to be in the now and to be completely comfortable in the now.
Well, I'm one of those people, and I know I make people uncomfortable for a wide variety of reasons, but when I'm on an airplane, I have no problem just sitting there. I have no problem sitting on an airplane for a couple of hours, nodding in and out. It's almost like a break. And I enjoy just sitting on the airplane. I don't have to read anything. I don't have to watch anything. And it's a very content feeling to just sit. And which was one of my worst fears.
This is why Judah has airplanes on his bedspread at home.
Yes, I do. And what's amazing is Raggedy Ann and Andy when I was a kid. But my mother said.
But it goes to exactly what Gabby's talking about, is to be okay with yourself.
Yeah.
To actually realize who yourself is.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, I put that in spiritual terms. That it's a spiritual state. It's not my brain. My brain is only a tool of my soul, of myself. In fact, I've reached the ability now to watch my brain go through all these machinations and laugh at it, because I don't center myself in my brain anymore. I center myself in my spirit.
But I think
therapists have a saying for this, and it's called mindfulness, and it's a big movement right now within therapeutic communities. And it's about being aware of the present, and I think a lot of it comes out of Buddhist philosophy.
Yeah.
But it's something that we're becoming more and more attuned to the fact that there is this disconnect that people seem to be having within our society, and we've gone from the old days where people were just alcoholics, and now we've got people addicted to the internet and to gambling, and something to fill up that void.
Because
all
there's
the
a
time.
constant thing that you could
Sit with yourself.
I mean,
You can't just sit there and experience.
I'm sure you
eat, and you don't even realize what you ate.
I've done this, and I'm sure you've done this. You go on, let's say, Wikipedia. You could literally, from one page on Wikipedia, 6 hours later, have clicked your way into the most wells of useless knowledge possible.
Probably that you have cancer.
Right. You
all things on the internet lead to you have cancer.
So when you're performing, you talk about all these, you talk about your SLA.
Yes.
And do you feel like people are connecting with you more? Because you obviously have a wide range of topics to discuss,
Yes.
that you joke about. Do you feel like that people have a connection?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because it's honesty. And again, people are just very attracted to anything that's real. Absurdity is fun too. I do have, some absurdity.
Well, there is
within my
absurdity in
act.
it.
Absolutely. Well, and that's true. But what's funny is what's the most absurd is who I really am.
Right.
Like, without writing an absurd joke, just being who I am is pretty absurd, like you said. Yeah, absolutely. But again, isn't it funny? Because it's like when you begin, you think anything other than what I am is probably going to be what's really funny, and then you come full circle to just being with the stillness of me and who that is, and that actually turns out to be the funniest of all.
Well, yeah, it's
Does your comedy? Do you vent your anger in your comedy? One of my screenwriting teachers, Robert McKee, said that comedy is the angry art, and it allows us to express ourselves in an angry way.
No, I'm not an angry comic at all. No.
I can't even imagine you being angry.
No, I can be angry. Ask my mom.
Do you rage at all in your act? Do you?
No.
What was that question? I didn't.
Did you
If I rage?
No.
I would say that my character, me, Gabriella, is more just befuddled by it all, and just like.
It's almost like you're an observer looking in.
No,
Oh.
no. Just meaning like more frustration and confusion and naive, but also knowing, and so kind of more conflicted, I think, but not angry.
Who do you comedic wise? Who are some of your?
I really like. I like Sarah Silverman. I think she's great. Chelsea Handler and I don't have anything in common except for who I used to be, but I love the fact that she's so authentic and that she keeps it real, that
Right.
she's just who she is. I think that's a great quality. but I like John Caparillo a lot. You know, he's just he is. You'd like him?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, you don't know him? Yeah, he's great. He's wonderful.
I have a hard time watching Chelsea Handler. Because I have a hard time when I could see people that are drinking.
Yeah.
You know, that are in alcoholism. It makes me feel extremely. There's just something about it.
Right.
And I don't mean that I want to drink.
I understand.
I feel the pain of what that person's going through.
Yeah, but here's what's great about when you work this like awesome Al-Anon program is you start to, it's like what I call my religion, which is live and let live. That as long as I'm fully expressing myself, as long as I'm fully, connected to myself, then what other people do and say really doesn't bother me, and I can actually be amused by it or intrigued by it or entertained, whatever.
Or sadness in my case.
You feel sad?
I feel sad for her.
You do?
Yeah, it's not like I look at her and she's a very funny woman. The show is great.
Yep.
But obviously there is a sadness if you're, she's 33, 34. I mean, she looks, no offense, she looks 42, 43 years old. She looks.
That just could be her genetics, though. Like, we have to look at what is our projection and what is real.
Oh, yeah, no,
You know what I mean? Like.
Well.
The comic that I just have always loved is George Carlin, and because he strips the facade away, and that's what I mean by anger. It's sort of the destruction of the facade down to the real. He's such a great writer. Carlin was such an incredible.
But
writer.
it's not so. But okay, so let's change the word, because was Carlin angry or was he just speaking his mind?
I thought he got angrier as he got older.
Right, he did get angrier as he got older, but there was a certain, it's like if Lenny Bruce or any of those, if you're just speaking your mind, is that anger or are you just talking?
Yeah.
And and there is
it's just honesty.
Yeah, right. There is a
yeah.
thin line between, angry, mad. It's network. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to.
Well, you can say things in comedy that you would like to say in just a regular social circle, but you'd be ostracized for doing, but because you put it within the context of a joke, you get truth out and it doesn't offend people as much. I think that's what a lot of the great comics have in
It definitely
common.
offends people sometimes.
Yes, I've seen Lisa Lampanelli perform quite a few times, and
I've crashed and burned. Yeah.
What do you is when you crash and burn? Is there an excitement to that?
No.
No. It's
Absolutely
just
not.
Crashed and burned.
Oh, it sucks. It really sucks, and it hurts a lot, because especially for someone like me that's a people pleaser, like I just want everyone and anyone to love me no matter what. I'll do anything.
So now here's
if you look at the terms that comics use when they do great, they're killing.
Right.
That's what I mean about the angry art. They kill, or I killed out there.
Slaughter that audience.
Yeah, I slaughtered that audience. But if you what do you call it when you're having a bad night?
Yeah.
You die, right?
Yeah.
You're dying.
Yeah.
But if you're doing well, you're killing them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, there was a symposium that was done by Anderson Cooper. I don't know if you saw it. It was with Chris Rock,
I saw that.
Jerry Seinfeld, Robert Klein, and Gary Shandling, and it was, I think, one other person. And I loved Gary Shandling because they were all talking. Gary Shandling was the only person up there that was willing to crash. That was willing to go up on stage every night and not be funny. And the pain that he had in him by willing to go on stage and to not be funny, and you were just talking about people pleasing.
Yeah.
Is that hard as a comic when you know something is an easy laugh, or when you really trying to go for the what can make you superior? Is there a thin line? Does that?
Can you?
Okay,
rephrase that question?
for instance. You know comedy obviously very well, and you know it is going to get a crowd going.
Yes.
So, and being a people pleaser, you constantly want to laugh.
Yes.
Is it easy to go for the easy joke? Is it sometimes harder to go for the harder joke and be willing to not get a laugh?
Okay, for me, I'd
We're
rather...
going to take a break,
Yeah.
and we'll get back to that when we come back. The number here is 877-8830-830, 877-8830-830. Listen to KLEAN Radio.